By far the most common question I get asked is, which device should I buy? Is phone X better than phone Y? Hopefully I can give you a few pointers here in terms of how to make your own decision. This may be a new distinction for you to think about, but there are some broad categories of phone. It all depends on whether you're largely a media creator, a media consumer, or a messaging freak. No offense. A media creator takes a lot of photos with their phone, perhaps videos too, with a view to doing something with them, putting them onto DVD or sharing them online. Your phone is an always with you tool, day or night, for creating content, blogging thoughts, moments and media to friends, family and the world. A media consumer wants their phone for entertainment while mobile, a large music collection, web surfing, video and audio podcasts, streaming TV and high quality games. A messaging freak needs to stay in touch. Their phone is their lifeline for email, instant messaging, SMS, plus perhaps the ability to work with office documents. Do any of these three roles sound familiar to you? They're stereotypes to be sure, but the chances are that you do fit one of them more than another. Incidentally, some phone functions such as telephony, PIM applications, maps and navigation are common these days to virtually every decent phone. We're looking here at differentiating factors. You probably won't be surprised to see me recommend the Nokia N82 for media creators. Look past the slightly fiddly keypad and smallish 2.4-inch screen and there's a mature, almost indestructible camera-centric smartphone with bright xenon flash for night photos, VGA resolution video capture and all of Nokia's office sharing functions built in. With a little tech knowledge and some time spent setting things up, the N82 can become an awesome media creation tool. Look out too for the N79, in many ways the N82's replacement, and this will be arriving in the shops very soon now. And now for media consumers, there's currently only one contender for this role, and you're either going to love it or hate it. The Apple iPhone has rewritten the rulebook in terms of media consumption on the move. I don't care that other smartphones have been playing back videos, browsing the web and playing games for years. I don't care that a number of iPhone wannabes from Samsung, LG, HTC have now appeared. Simply nothing touches the iPhone for media consumption. That huge and gorgeous screen that works in all light conditions, the slickness of the streaming, YouTube, video podcast, and here BBC iPlayer solutions, the sumptuous accelerometer-driven games as featured in the last show. The Apple iPhone was born to fill this role. Finally, the messaging freak. This category is much harder to call. However fast you type on a keypad with predictive text, I'll bet that most people can still get faster speeds on a decent QWERTY keyboard. It's very tempting to flat out recommend the Nokia E90, which is still an all-round QWERTY workhorse, but I do accept it's on the heavy side for someone less insane than me. The same probably goes for devices like the excellent HTC Titan II, which again are overkill, even if both it and the E90 can be picked up at lowish second-hand prices. So looking at the best of the current devices, a lot depends on who provides your email and IM services. It's a toss-up really between the HTC S740, if you're comfortable with the sliding form factor and you want to stay with Microsoft, the BlackBerry Bold if you want to have your emails handled by a BlackBerry server, and the Nokia E71, a jack-of-all-trades device from Nokia, whose selling points are its ultra-thin form factor and robustness. Sorry I can't call a winner here, but at least your options are now down to 3. If you're wondering where I sit in this great pantheon, I rather straddle the media creator and messaging freak categories, so I find myself alternating between the N82, the E90, the N95. I'm still working on that one. Anyway, at least I've narrowed down the field of hundreds of top-end phones down to just 3 or 5, depending on how indecisive we're being in the messaging category. You may disagree completely with my picks. Your comments most welcome. Yes, I know that the reviews of the Nokia smartphone hardware in the last couple of shows have been more previews because they're fairly early examples of the Nokia N79 and N85, but I've also got another preview. This is the Nokia Tube, aka the 5800 XpressMusic.
This is essentially the first of the next generation of S60 phones. It happens to have a resistive touchscreen, but S60 5th edition isn't tied to touch. Under the hood it's not that different to 3rd edition and is theoretically backwards compatible, although most programs won't work that well on something like the 5800 until they've been adapted for touch input. The flip side of S60 5th edition being close to 3rd edition is that the latter was already incredibly mature in terms of real-time operation, communications, GPS, camera integration and so on. The 5800 XpressMusic has inherited a very rich and stable base. It adds to this base with support for new screen sizes. This one's 640 by 360 pixels or NHD, a 3.2 inches diagonal, smaller than Apple's iPhone but still very viewable. Plus the full face touch sensitive layer, of course. This worked very well with only a few teething troubles on this prototype. Most of the interface is still obviously S60, but with the touchscreen taking the place of D-pad navigation. Text input can be by tapping on a traditional simulated keypad, using a full screen QWERTY keyboard, or less inspirationally, using the supplied plasticky stylus to tap on a smaller QWERTY pad, or scribbling characters palm style. Typing works best using 2 thumbs in landscape mode, but every letter you type is what you get. There are no auto-corrective writing aids here. Web, as you'd expect, works better here than on many other S60 phones with the much higher resolution screen and with some iPhone-like tactility. Working full screen is best, but it really needs a one-tap shortcut to get to this, or some auto-hide intelligence. Connectivity is good with 3.5G, Wi-Fi and GPS as you'd expect. The 5800 acquits itself well for music with astoundingly loud built-in speakers, as well as all the usual playback options. There's a pop-up media bar, the modern descendant of Nokia's rather odd S60 multimedia menu, but I didn't find it that useful. Photo viewing is quite iPhone-like, although there's no multi-touch here. The resistive touchscreen didn't seem to affect visibility in sunlight too much, for which I was grateful. Although not in Nokia's N series, the camera's 3 megapixels and quite decent, on a par with that on the E71 for example, and there's dual LED flash.
And this is video being shot in pretty poor light conditions, but with the dual LED nightlight stroke flashlight activated. As you'd expect from a Nokia camera device, the video camera is actually very good. Sort of VGA quality, good enough to watch on your TV set. The dual LED is very bright there. Your subjects are going to get complain, oh, I'm being dazzled. Arguably more phone-like than the Apple iPhone, being narrower and also a lot cheaper. The user interface isn't as slick as that on Apple's creation, but then it's not meant to be. This is unashamedly a much more mass-market option. Overall, though, I'm very impressed by the 5800. I wasn't expecting to like it very much, but it's familiar and that the interface is well known to anyone who's used S60, and yet it's modern and sexy at the same time. My biggest concern is really the text input. I'm not convinced that the software's there yet. Nokia need to put in something like the Apple iPhone's intelligent keyboard. Otherwise, this is going to be let down by the speed of text entry for most professional people. Still, for a media player, for a mass market music phone, video phone, with all the touchscreen wizardry, I think the 5800 will do very well indeed. Still, a couple of months to market and then we'll find out for sure.